Hello there, Internet. Now, if you saw the live video I did over on Facebook a couple days ago, you would have seen this. Let's open it up. I'm going to try to remember to note at the beginning of this video when the beer review ends. Since at least one of you doesn't drink beer, it's probably torture having to look at a delicious, wonderful beer like this. So this is Lawson's Finest Liquids. It's called Sip of Sunshine. Let me have a sip. Let's smell it first. You know, it's so much like a heady topper. It really is. Very citrusy. It's an IPA. It's not a double. But it's still 8%. It's not quite as bitter as like what you would get from a double, but still smells very hoppy, very citrusy. Now this is interesting, fun little fact. So Lawson's is from Vermont, but once this beer started to take off, they couldn't really keep up with it. So they actually have it made in Stratford, Connecticut by Two Roads. Two Roads is a pretty cool little brewery. It was about an hour from where we lived before we moved up to Burlington. And they make some good beers too. They make a really cool beer called Road to Ruin. It's their double IPA. Get it? Two Roads, Road to Ruin, double IPA. It's punny. It's a pun. It's a dad joke, y'all. Which is very delicious. It's Lapulin hops, which is, juicy tropical fruit character, bright floral aromas. I was going to say it smelled kind of floral. Let's see, pour mindfully, inhale deeply. Tropical vacation is, because it's bitter and citrusy, you do get some grapefruit action. But it's not very harsh. Yeah, I don't get a lot of floral with it. I don't get a lot of like pine as well, which you kind of get with the heady topper. So on the nose, it's very heady topper-ish. I bet it'd be really good in a glass, but I drink from a can mostly. I shouldn't say mostly, yeah, the big beers like this I do usually enjoy out of a can. So again, this is an 8%er. Yeah, good little beer. So what time is it? It's 2 minutes and 10 seconds. I'll try to remember that. So hopefully I'll put 2 minutes and 10 seconds at the beginning of the video. We will keep drinking this, but we're not going to keep talking about it. So what do we have today? So this is pretty interesting. So Chris Elliot reached out to me about these bad boys. Now, what do we got in here? This is going to take a minute to get into the spinner review. So just be warned, but it's kind of, there's a cool reason why. So we've got a few spinners here. So this is from Chris Elliot and Damn Designs. You can see the Chris Elliot influence. There's definitely some nods to these very angular shapes to his like beast spinner. Something sort of like a trademark of his. As well as I will say, the first time I picked these up, let me get my scale out because I actually haven't weighed these yet myself. So it'll be interesting to see, but they seem pretty heavy. They seem pretty solid. So I'd probably put this around 75, 84. So now we kind of know that this is going to be, we're probably closer to 93, 94. Now way off 107, 108. Tungsten's ruined me, so I guess this is probably what, closer to 120? 122. 1222. 2 is my favorite number. So we got some weighty guys. It's funny, this doesn't feel like 222, yet at the same time, even picking this up, they don't look, like looking at them and knowing that it's stainless steel, you wouldn't think they're like the tanks and beasts they are, but you pick these up, man, and they just feel solid. They just feel like they would do damage. Even, like, again, this isn't like super heavy at 85 grams. That's not a ridiculous weight, but boy, let me tell you, you just pick them up and they feel solid. Now, I don't know which bearings they come with. These are prototypes, so I'm not 100% sure how different the finish is, and I should have looked at the finish options because I did not do that. But they've got a brushed finish on them. So for me, one thing I want to try to get out of the way is the finish these are prototype versions, so I can't say how great the finish would be compared to what's actually out there. I feel like the buttons especially are like a little rough, which I wouldn't expect on a finished version, but they're not terrible, but they're just a little bit more rougher than what something like these are, right? That's so good too. But yeah, something interesting, especially like on the quad. You're going to see the brush marks going off. So they did a pretty good job with the brush marks for a prototype, you know, because as the facets and angles change, the brush marks change. So it's not like you just run it under and just let the brush marks go ham. We go on ham. They're pretty good. They're pretty solid. So So I guess this is kind of, I guess we got into the spin review a little bit. I told you it was going to be a minute, but here's why it's going to be a minute. These actually have some pretty cool names. So this is Typhon, this is Echidna, and this is Scylla, or Scylla or Scylla. I think it depends on the pronunciation. So I didn't notice this one being named Typhon. I knew was like a mythical creature, but Echidna, I wasn't sure. But I wasn't quite 100% sure how to pronounce them, so I looked at their pronunciation, and in doing that, I realized there's actually a pretty cool naming convention going on with these. So in Greek mythology, Typhon is like the biggest, baddest daddy of all the monsters. It's a big, giant snake creature. It's got, I guess, a couple different origin stories, where he was the son of Kronos, or maybe the son of Gaia and something else, but there was like a couple different versions of like where he came from, but he's like the biggest, baddest mofo, and he actually challenged Zeus and almost beat him. Zeus had to like literally lightning bolt, you know, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, or if you like Die Hard with a Vengeance, I'll shove a lightning bolt up your ass, Zeus. So anyway, that's what Zeus did to him. But he was also the big daddy to Big Mommy here, Echidna. Echidna is known in mythology as the mother of all monsters. So these two are mates, and she gave birth to Cerberus, to the Nemean lion, to the Hydra, to Medusa. There's one I'm forgetting here, and then to Scylla. So she was a big nasty snake woman, snake lady too. And then Scylla, most notably, is, if you've ever heard the expression, a rock in a hard place, Scylla is the hard place. So it's, I think, the Rock of Gibraltar, but I'm not sure. But basically, in Homer's Odyssey, I think it's sort of almost used more like the Sirens, but you either have to go close to a really massive giant rock that will just destroy your boat, or you have to get close to a really nasty, I think it's like a six-headed monster snake thing. There's a couple different versions. So these two gave birth to this. So daddy, mommy, baby. So it's kind of cool like that. As well as Echidna is also like a little insect-eating little animal that sort of looks like a hedgehog. So, but I don't think that's what they named it after. But this could be a hedgehog. We don't know. I didn't ask them about the names. I didn't realize the names today. I was like, oh, let me look up the names of these. Because they're on pre-order. They're all $60 on pre-order right now, which is a pretty good deal. Damn Designs prides themselves on giving you good spinners at a good price. So that's kind of one of their deals. Oh, man, that is so good. You don't know internet. What's also really good about this too is I think a lot of people, sorry, halfway back into the beer review, apologize, skip ahead, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 seconds. A lot of people with the double IPAs are like super bitter and they just like come at you. This is, you know, like that high alcohol 8% IPA, but, and smells like that. It's probably a good way to ease into double IPA. It's still very bitter. It's probably got 75, 80 IBUs. I don't think it says on here. I don't know, but read it up on Beer Advocate if you're into beer too. I like that site for beer. So anyway, let's talk about these guys. So where should we start? We're going to start here. So what can we say about this? So being a prototype, I think my biggest cons with this guy are the buttons and the finish. Now the finish I can't really blame them for. I can't really say anything about. The finish is pretty good, all things considered, and it's a prototype, so it's hard for me to really say. But like if you look at, you know, how much it's rounded on this side, like look at the light reflecting and how much it's rounded, and then look at this side. It's not really even. And then it's got like a brush finish. For me, I think hitting this up in my tumbler with the really fine media. And then realistically, internet, I think this like buffed, like getting a buffing wheel, I think is really the way to go to polish something like this, which you probably should have anyway. The amount of time it would have saved me for buying like a $50 table buffer wheel thing off Harbor Freight or something like that, or Amazon, would have been worth it. But in these, like, this is going to be so hard to like polish in there and do it by hand. But hitting this up on a buffing wheel after tumbling it for probably 24, 48 hours to take out most of the, you know, most of the marks on this, and having a mirror polish, I think this would jump into like potentially top 10 territory. So as it is, being a prototype, being that the buttons feel a little unfinished, you know what we should do? Oh crap, I didn't put my buttons away. Well, this will give us a similar feel. Well, these are smaller buttons. Let me just, actually this won't work. So these buttons, it wasn't gonna work anyway, internet, because these are like the little caps where they're recessed. So never mind, internet. We're gonna go back to where we were. But spinning this guy, it reminds me in a lot of ways of this, but just like that next step up, a little bigger, a little chunkier, a little more angular. Yeah, thick buttons too. These buttons actually feel good in terms of size. But you can see we really can wind up on this. I guess it's facets. I was gonna say it's not really facets, it's kind of steps, but it's steps and facets. Sorry, I thought I heard my son crying. You guys might hear some slight wave sounds in basically through this wall over here, which is like right there, like within reaching distance. Is where my little baby's sleeping. So, and we got the wave machine going over there. But yeah, this it throws really well. It's got a good little judder. The balance is, well, again, this was a prototype. It didn't feel like it had much wobble. Yeah, I mean, this is a prototype, and look at that balance. But when you spin it, feels dead smooth. Now, I don't know what bearings are going to come in these bad boys. I thought I was testing them, so I just happened to have a spare bearing laying next to my desk at work. So I threw that bearing in because I thought it was an HC2, and it definitely was not an HC2. But I was going to use that to kind of test the spin times and put that in each of them to get some consistent results. And pretty interesting thing happened. So even though it's not an HC2, they got decent spin times. This got 7 minutes and 21 seconds on a table spin, and these both got 650. I was surprised to see the same spin time. I don't know if it's just with the bar, I was able to get a little more leverage and get a little extra out of it. I didn't do a ton of spin tests because every time I kept missing it. Like I'm at work, so like phone rings and I'm doing my job and I forget, I wouldn't notice that this had stopped spinning or this one had stopped spinning. So I spun probably 20 times. That's a little exaggeration, but anyway, I put the same bearing in each of them, so those are pretty comparable results in terms of percentage-wise. So with probably a standard type bearing, you're getting, you know, about 30 seconds more in this, but these two, they were the same. So, but yeah, it's a fun little bar. This would be my pick of the three, mainly because I like bars. Again, it's got that character. You get that little bit of extra feedback. You get that feel that you only get from a bar. I don't need to go on and on. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, just a great little spinner. Really good at like even two-handed power flicks, some good judder, some good feedback, which we dig. So, but you don't have to go with this. If you're not a bar guy, hey, we got the Try. So, you know, the Try, here's where I kind of am with the Try. I can't get behind the Try. Why can't you get behind the Try, Tim? These seem like decent spinners. They seem, what's the problem with it? So again, aside from like the finishing, and I know on top of the finishing, any marks you see, I know these guys have done like kind of a review chain. So like these were sent to me from another reviewer, old Eric over at Spin a Please. If you're not checking out Spin a Please, you need to watch Spin a Please. I will say he's a very different taste than mine. So just because you like my videos, you might not care for his. But I think he's a cool guy and I dig what he's doing over there. So he gets my thumbs up, my seal of approval, but it's not like, oh, you watch me, watch him. He's a little more offensive and inappropriate, but he's a fun guy. He has fun. So, and he can beatbox. So I can rap. I shouldn't say I can rap. I can quote lyrics, but he can beatbox. So he's fun. So we dig him. We're all about his stuff over there. So if you're watching my stuff and you like it, give it a shot. Check it out. But so why can't I get behind the Try? Well, the Try just for me is just pretty uninspired. Mainly because these other two exist. If I had just grabbed this guy, I probably would have been like, yeah, this guy's, you know, it's not too bad. It's got good balance. You can spin it. You can kind of play with it. It's a good kind of middle of the road weight. But for me, any reason I would want for this, I would actually just go for this. Now, the bearing that's in here isn't the greatest, so it's kind of ruining it for me a little bit. But there's not enough quads out there. I shouldn't say there's not enough quads out there, but there's definitely an abundance of Tries where there is a distinct lack of quads. So for me, this is a little bit heavier, but everything that this offers it a little bit better. It does a little bit better of this kind of pole fidgeting because you've got more arms. You know, you can get in there, interrupt your spin. It's still not too heavy for me to get in there. Again, I think I get spoiled with as much spinning as I've done this. You know, we're going on almost a year of spinning, and since I've gotten to spinners, I have spun every day quite a bit. So we're going on 365 days of me spinning a lot. So my fingers are probably pretty used to it. I can get in there, I can jam on these guys pretty good. But everything that the Try offers, the quad offers, and then some. It gives you that unique shape. It gives you a little extra weight. So really, I guess if you were a little worried about 122 grams being too much, you can go with 107 grams here. But for me, it's all about the bar or the quad. And they're $60 each, so it really doesn't matter what you choose and what you like. And, you know, aesthetically, you know, if you're thinking of one of these two and aesthetically you like the look of this more than this, well, then you're going to be happy with this because they are pretty comparable. But for me, there's just that little bit extra from it being a quad. It's got a little extra balance. Because it's a quad, you don't notice the balance difference as much between these two. but still throws incredibly well, and everything's super rounded. Even as a prototype, I'm sure the finished product won't be far off of this. And I'm pretty sure these are prototypes. I think he told me he was sending me prototypes, but I don't know how far off where the prototypes were. I meant to ask. I might have some notes to add in here because I did ask him a couple questions and he answered them, and I don't even remember what they were. They were a couple days ago, and my life's crazy, internet. It's hard fitting these in. But I like doing them, and I know you enjoy watching them, so it's, you know, we do it for the people. We're a man of the people around here. At least we want to be, and we try to be. So yeah, but good all around spinner. So yeah, I think I was starting to talk about hot spots. I don't know if I really finished that thought. No hot spots on these guys. Everything's brushed and rounded off really well. So for me and my money internet, these are not mine. I'm going to be sending them back. But if they were, these would go in a tumbler, and I think that would just turn it up. There's something about the feel of a brushed finish to me that just takes something away from the enjoyment. There's that little bit of tactileness that's not there that I get with either either a brushed finish or a polished a tumbled finish. So, you know, like I tumbled this and there's just a certain smoothness and roundness, or a polished finish, right? There's something about a polished finish, you know, there's something about, oh, look at that. I need to actually clean this up, but look how good that looks. Don't be jelly. But it feels, there's a feel to that Daddy just likes. So, but really cool names, really inspired names, really inspired designs. Damn Designs is a man of the people. Adrian D'Souza and Chris Elliot and Heck Ferula. I don't know how super involved Heck Ferula is. I mean, I know he was doing the bearings and was doing some distributing for those guys. I don't know if that's still really happening, but it seems like those are good people, and those are all good people. We like all of those guys and what they do. So I think it's something that we can definitely get behind and we can definitely encourage. And again, it's $60 for this, the amount of spinner you're getting here, the nice design that we're doing, supporting some good community people. I think this is definitely one to consider, again, especially for this. Like, I kind of, yeah, I don't know what different finishes they're offering, but I mean, this and like a mirror polish would be like, or like a tumble, like even just a good stone wash, a really good stone wash. Oh man, this would be so good. I mean, it's good right now, I can tell, but like when I put my fingers here and I feel that brushed finish, my fingers just go, why aren't you tumbled? Why aren't you polished? But you know, that's just who we are. That's just who we are around here, internet. But we know that, and we've accepted that. So now that we know who we are, we know what we like, we can embrace that. And we can put that out there. And again, tumbling and doing some customizing work, especially on like a $60 spinner, I think everybody should be doing that. I think you shouldn't be scared to make something your own. So, yeah, there you have it. Downsides, you know, I'm trying to be really objective, you know, for me, but you know, the brush finish is a pretty big downside, but also one that I can fix. And then again, for me, the try just doesn't do it. It just feels too plain, and I don't want to, I guess I said uninspired, and that really isn't the word. But even if I didn't have these other ones around, there's something about this that it's just funny. Going from this to this makes all the difference. So anyway, there you have it. Can we encourage this? These two, let's see, this is going to get a double thumbs up because it's just, I think it's a great bar. It seems like almost like an evolution of this. Now, I didn't try the Schism. I think that's what it was called. But they kind of made a bigger, wider version of this. And I never really got my hands on, although this feels so light and fast and responsive, where this feels a little more tanky. But again, that's what I said. It's funny how tanky they feel. I kind of kept coming back to that point when I was spinning these and trying to come up with my thoughts for the review. And I'm like, man, they're just tanks. They're just like, they feel like they would last forever. They just feel good, solid, and heavy. But we get a 2 thumbs up on this. I really would give this a 1 thumbs up, and I would give this a 1.5. Mainly again for me, it's just the bars are where it's at. So I think this is a solid spinner though too, and it's nice to see a quad version out there. And Damn Designs, like, let's give a shout out to Damn Designs for a minute as well, because Damn Designs, like, I think every spinner that they've made now, they've come out with the 3 different versions. They've come up with the bar, they've come up with the tri, and they've come up with the quad. You know, from their tungsten, like War Pigs, to their turbulence, and I forget the names of all of them, but the turbulence, they've done a tri version and a bar version and a quad version. The tri, I don't think they did a, you know, they did the Invictus and the Triad. I don't think they did a quad version of this Triad design, actually, now that I think about it. But what's interesting too is they don't just they don't just throw an extra arm on it, right? Like, there's some subtle differences in the hips here, right? We've got these little cuts, these little grooves here that work for flicking it in the middle or pulling in. So even if you're not preloading, Yeah, get yourself some bars, internet. So anyway, I think that's all we got. Let's have another sip of beer. There's some turbulence going on in the spinner community right now. And much like a lot of communities that are kind of dependent on the actual community itself to survive, like, we got to take care of each other, internet. The community's not going to survive if the community doesn't take care. So if we're fighting and we're getting all up in arms, you know, we got some stuff to get through. We'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Take care of each other. Let's be nice. Because we're going to need that. We're going to need that to get through this. All right, internet. There you have it. Damn Designs. Typhon Echidna, Scylla. Kisses, internet.